Hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarett with Technology Executives Club. And I want to introduce you to Richard Doran, who's the CEO and founder of Sierra ITS. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Alex, great. Happy it's Friday and happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you here. And you've been doing Sierra ITS, I think longer or as long as I've been doing Technology Executives Club. How many years has it been?
I started this when I was 30.
Wow. Wow. That's like an eternity, right? I'm just teasing you.
It's a
That's five
career, Alex.
years.
It's a
Yeah.
career.
Well, all kidding aside, we're really grateful. He's a thought leader on his own right and been doing CRITS staffing, staff aug, placement, and anything related to building great teams, correct? Pretty much?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep, yep.
great. So
And
today, go ahead.
and it's amazing how it's changed over the years, Alex, too. I started this thing pre Y2K, and now to sit here and talk about agentic AI and just the flow of data and the importance of data is amazing, and it's just going to accelerate from here.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. Listen, we're at least in Act One in any science fiction movie we've seen. So today is 2025 Technology Executives Review and 2026 AI in the Enterprise Forecast. Again, I'm your host, Alex Jarrett, and my guest analyst, Richard Doran, who's the CEO and founder of CRITS. Let me go through this. We're going to move pretty quickly. Again, brought to you myself and Technology Executives Club. We're a thought leadership community and media platform. People have known us for many years as an event company, and when the pandemic hit, I went online, not turning back. And we're also back to doing a few events a year, as well as these regular webinars. And by the way, we've got over 1 million views annually, Rich. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. You and your team have done a great job with that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. You're a big part of it. You're on our board of advisor program. Anybody out there that's want to get started in your journey, you can just be part of our community and get inspired, learn from great people like Richard. Or if you'd like to get involved on your journey to be known as a thought leader, reach out to me. In the meantime, watch all our videos at technologyexecutivesclub.com. They're all open, they're all free. And let's get into it. So again, this is the 2025 Technology Executives Review and 2026 AI in the Enterprise Forecast with myself, Alex Jarrett, and our guest analyst, Richard Doran, CEO and founder of Sierra ITS. And here's the agenda that we're going to go through. And again, you can see I'm talking pretty quick. We're going to blow through a lot of material because I tell you, Richard, you did your research, I did my research. I have never seen this many headlines about any topic pretty much than AI, right? I mean,
Well, and the crazy thing, Alex, is tomorrow there'll be new ones. I
yeah.
mean, it's just the acceleration of how this is all playing out in the virtual and the real world.
Absolutely. And again, a lot of these things we thought were science fiction, we're actually seeing it's crazy. And we're seeing stuff we don't even know is real anymore. So let's get through the agenda, the biggest headlines that shape the enterprise and AI landscape. And that's sort of our, narrower focus, which is AI landscape, AI in the enterprise, where technology leaders are actually seeing ROI, what some of the top consultants are saying, industry analysts are saying about AI, and again, in the AI and the enterprise world. Key insights from our briefings that we've had. I do these briefings all the time now and have executive conversations. What we're hearing from our peer group. We have a peer group of technology leaders, been doing that for a long time. And a first look at what's coming for 2026 from us, from our organization. And so we'll start with the biggest headlines that shape the enterprise and AI landscape in 25. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you can see this is how thick this sheet is. I mean, there's so many headlines. So I'm going to blow through a lot of headlines and we'll stop and talk about a few of them. First of all, widespread AI adoption is accelerating across individuals and enterprises. Employees are adopting AI tools faster than formal enterprise strategies. AI is increasingly embedded directly into these apps. So whether you want it or not, it's there. It's already in your enterprise. And this goes back to cell phone, websites, when it was the consumerization of a specific technology, and it came into the enterprise whether people were ready or not. Let me just give you a stat. OpenAI, as of this week, has over 800 million active users and over a million business customers, paying customers. Google has over 7 billion views a week.
Wow.
Okay. Think about that. And that's just two. And
Yeah.
we hear about all these other AI apps and everything else. It's amazing. And here's the second point. A widening adoption gap is emerging between AI leaders and laggards, with early adopters experimenting with agentic AI. That was a big headline. Oh, you're agentic AI, agentic AI. And then suddenly you start hearing about orchestration. And now we're hearing more about operational AI. So you had some comments on that. I think you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, as I talk to tech leaders and business leaders, there's new winners and there's also new roles. There's a lot of creative destruction going on, which is
Yeah.
capitalism. And with that, teams that pair agentic AI with the right data, the right governance, and talent will move faster than their competitors, ship more, and out hire their competitors. And this is all a race. And the race is from a technology perspective, from a talent perspective, and the talent continuum is going to change, as we all know, really fast. These kids that are coming out of school with CS degrees who are
Yeah.
their search times are longer and longer, and we'll get into that at a different time. But it's the landscape is changing, and it's going to be really interesting to see where the jobs are 3 months, 6 months, a year from now.
So what I'm hearing from you is buckle up because we're
Buckle
taking
up.
off. Yeah,
Yeah.
buckle up. So let's keep moving. I'll have you come back in a few minutes. So continued massive investment in AI by big tech and governments. That's huge. We keep seeing these headlines about, NVIDIA raises this, these huge deals that are happening almost daily. A lot of investment, a lot of bets are being placed on this technology because, like you said, everybody's in a race. Now, this is another one. This ain't going away. In fact, I can just tell you, everybody, it's in our forecast for the future. Cybersecurity threats are escalating as bad actors. Did I jump to another screen here? I think I did by mistake. Whoop, sorry. Continued massive investment in AI by big tech and governments. AI is proving highly effective as a coding tool. So I talk to people and they love it because when AI has to give you some type of, this is Gen AI I'm talking about. When AI has to give you some type of thought pattern or speculative type of content, I'm reading 68% or so of accurate. By the way, how many people are over 68% accurate rate? I'm okay with that, and then, but it does, hallucinate things like that, a little minor detail, right? But for coding, when it's cut and dry, it either works or it doesn't. A lot of coders are loving this right now. That's what I'm hearing from our members and reading about it. And this is a secret sauce a lot of people discovered: workflow return on investment. They're
Yeah,
looking for
that's
those.
important.
Yeah, it's huge, and we'll talk about that in a second. They're looking for big investments in their workflows. They're looking for acceleration in their workflow. Sorry. Unplanned AI adoption inside the enterprise is driving urgent needs for governance and change management. I already said it up top. It's happening whether you want to or not. You can't stop this. Um, High failure rates are being reported for large AI incentives and enterprise scale projects. The MIT report came out. That was the biggest news that we all heard this last year, at least on that topic. But anybody who's been in tech for a while knows big projects, ERP was always the worst. Big projects, they're already at 65, 70% failure rate. So I had this new technology, and I will go on the record by saying a lot of the failure has been because the board and everybody else are saying, hey, I use ChatGPT. I get it. It's not so hard. Use it, use it, use it. And of course, if the tech leaders don't stand up and say, wait a minute, what's the business problem? Right, Rich? What's,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
they got to stay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I've been seeing and what we've been seeing is the mix of specialized contract labor versus strategic direct hires. And it depends on where you are in your journey, but I know a lot of mid-size firms that don't have the internal talent to create these Gen AI workflows,
Right.
optimize that. They don't have the data governance in place either. So you have to hire specific talent to come in, help you format and platform all this so that you can be successful in this next year. Because like I just said before, this is a race, and your
Totally.
competitors are doing it, and if you're not, you're not going to get the market share.
Well, yeah, and the people that are starting to forge ahead, they're going to start doing these. We'll talk about this in a minute. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but they're already starting improving workflows and things like that. All right, let's keep moving. Workforce reductions. I want to talk about these last two. We'll talk them together. I want to talk about eight first, and then we'll go to seven, which is your area. Okay. So workforce reductions are increasingly being attributed to AI automation. I'm going to go on record and say I say a lot of the headlines that we're seeing on that. I think whatever you did, undo that. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this
Sorry about
question
that.
had you go sideways. It's driving you nuts, right? So, I think a lot of these so-called, oh, we just let off 10,000 people due to AI. I think that's a CFO at the end of the year or the COO saying, hey, let's get our stock price up. And, we're going to shave costs and we'll blame it on something. Let's blame it on AI.
Well, you always want something to blame, and it used to be the economy. It still
Yeah.
is it's the Bill Clinton thing. It's the
Yeah.
economy, stupid. There's always creative, as I said before, there's always creative destruction that goes on, and some companies need to get leaner and
Yeah.
meaner. Other companies are hiring. It's always the ebb and flow of employment. But that's where either the contract side or the direct hire side kicks in, because there is going to be a lot more talent leaders,
Yes.
technology leaders, and finance leaders saying, do we have the right mix of talent that's going to move us forward? And that's what's going to drive the churn. And then also, you've got CEOs who are just saying, I want this, I want that. And, to turn those aspirations into reality, it's going to take talent, time, and money.
Absolutely. So I'm not saying that the future, we're not going to lose jobs because, of course, there's going to be major displacement over time. I'm saying some of these headlines that we've been
Yeah,
seeing are just, let's fix our price,
there's
our
so many
stock price.
reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you already talked a little about number seven. So CIOs are setting the agenda while the AI headcount remains constrained. But you made a point of saying that to me. So explain what you mean by that.
So what I've seen is, especially in the last year,
Yeah,
after the election, good or bad, our business and all of the staffing world took off fairly quickly, and then the tariffs kicked in and things slowed down, and then AI was more in the headlines,
yeah,
and so people are just trying to figure out, okay, where do my talent needs fit into the goals that our leadership has for the organization, sales wise, shipping wise, et cetera. And the reality is that reductions are going to happen, automation is going to be more, and people are going to level up. And that's the other thing too, Alex. If you don't have the ability to be a creative problem solver, have high EQ, and be able to ask questions and see the bigger picture,
yeah.
you're going to have a tough time in this economy.
Well, that's really a really great insight. I've heard that. I didn't put it on the chart later, but that is something I've heard consistently from our leaders is that people that are rising are more leaders. Yeah, you got the AI experts that are rising for sure, and they're getting these huge salaries that we read about. We all need them, right? But at the same time, when the technology is starting to take over more of these tasks, or analysis. But put that back. You just there,
Yeah.
keep that. So, the leaders and like you said, emotional intelligence, you know, those people who can build teams and lead teams are going to be even in more demand, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because and it's interesting. I'll use the term business analysis.
Yeah.
It's always been necessary, but it's even more necessary now to understand truly what the business demands are, be able to translate that into a successful technology solution, but even
Yeah.
more important, Alex, a technology workflow, a Gen AI solution.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that
Or
in
I'm
a
sorry,
second.
agentic.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. And you're totally right on that. All right, let me finish these headlines real quick. Cybersecurity, and by the way, there's hundreds of these. We just picked the ones that we thought were some of the top ones. Cybersecurity threats are escalating as bad actors weaponize AI. Okay. And I don't even want to talk about deep fakes. We'll go off on a tangent there. We start talking about changes in society, but cybersecurity threats are escalating as bad actors weaponize AI. I saw a CIO this morning on LinkedIn, and she was saying number one priority for her this next year is cybersecurity.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and if you don't have, and I'll add governance to this. If you don't have governance, if you don't have your data, and you don't have your cybersecurity act, you can play around with it AI all you want. You're in trouble.
You're left behind.
Yeah, you're going to get hurt. I'm going to
Yeah.
say even more than you're left behind. You're in trouble. You're going to get
Well,
hurt.
yeah, and
Yeah,
on the cybersecurity side, you're probably out of business if it lasts a certain amount of time.
yeah, I think so because everybody's getting hit. Even these you're not so small that people will ignore you. And I hear this from our members all the time. Companies that, we've all known about the big companies getting hit all the time, but, even small companies, SMBs, mid-sized companies, whether you call it mid-cap, 100 million, 50 million and above to a billion or 200 million or five, these people are getting hit regularly. So it's got to be a priority. And of course, AI readiness data, I saw an interesting stat from Gartner. The the executives think their data is ready. Technology leaders are saying, no, it is. It's
Yeah.
not ready.
Right.
So that's a big thing. So data quality, access, and ownership are emerging as the primary constraints to AI scale. I would say understanding your business and where the rub is, where the friction is probably the
Yeah.
number one thing.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is super important, Alex.
Yeah.
But we saw a really drastic increase in talent demand, be it contract or direct hire, for data governance to set up the structure
Makes
and the
sense.
processes. And then we also saw a heck of a lot of activity in the need for project managers who have some AI experience under their tool belt, as well as a lot of change management. Because as you implement this AI, roles change, responsibilities change, and you have to be able to communicate that with the organization so that people are nervous enough
Yeah.
about their jobs so that they're less nervous so that they can really focus in on adding value to the org.
Yeah, well, you've raised a good point, which we'll touch on later when we talk about recommendations. But upskilling and reskilling is going to be key to successful companies, in my opinion,
Absolutely.
because you talk about change management. Why do ERP? Why does ERP fail? Because of change management or
Yep.
lack thereof. That's
Yep.
the real reason. We all know that, have been around for a long time. So same thing's going to happen with AI. If why would an employee help you if they think AI is going to take over their job? And you did a wonderful video, which hopefully I'll have time. I'll show people. Go on our site, watch Richard's channel, or go on still on our homepage, but watch Richard's channel, and you'll see he did an incredible job on it. We did an upskilling discussion together. You did a leadership briefing on upskilling. So I know your heart's in this one. Really important, everybody. You got to add upskilling to your program. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but go ahead
And
real
Alex, when we
quickly.
get to that, I want to add
Yeah,
some color to that because I was talking to a CHRO
yeah.
yesterday who was telling me about her organization's plan to upskill, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, tell us about that when we get into your spot that I gave you over
Sure.
there. All right, let me blow through these and we'll get to the next section. Regulation, compliance, uncertainty is increasing shaping enterprise AI. Regulation is always behind. It will come. So make sure on the governance, that's the real key thing. Creative, and by the way, we don't have time to get into this. Geez, I hope these LLMs put some type of, governance in there when someone's talking about something horrible. This is more about society. When someone says, "Oh my God, I don't feel good about myself," I'm not sure. Please put some governance in there. So, it says, "Hey, go get help." Anyways, that's just me saying that. All right, number 12. Creative and knowledge-based industries are being disrupted by AI faster than others. All right, we're already seeing it. I think there was a number one hit in country this year. Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
AI song,
The
AI
AI
song.
generated song.
Yeah, and when you talk to artists, they're all upset about this. You can't blame them. But my prediction, I'm jumping to predictions real quickly. My prediction is the AI, the artists who embrace this, as long as they say, hey, we used AI. I mean, movies and TV, why would they go to the desert and film something if they can just shoot it on a
Yeah.
thing, right? Why would they do that for these little scenes that they do that cost them millions of dollars just to, why would they do that? Of course they're going to do that, but there's also going to see, I think we're going to see individuals and small teams create some amazing stuff here in the
Yeah.
near
I would agree.
future.
I would
Yeah.
agree.
So having said that, if you're creative, start using it. Use it as a tool. And I would say if you're a knowledge worker, start using it. I use it every day. I know we've talked about this before. Talent gaps in AI, data engineering, and change management are slowing enterprise execution. That's your topic. Go ahead.
Yeah. And what we see in that world is it takes time to develop talent as AI progresses really quickly. So you got one of two choices. You upskill, as you alluded to
Yeah.
before, or you hire hired guns out in the field that can help you accelerate your digital journey. But either way, it goes back to time and money. And there are, the solution is dependent upon your timeline, your business cases, and your budget.
Yeah. That makes total
I mean,
sense.
it's
So
not hard, but it moves fast, and if you don't have the end goal in mind, you're going to miss your trajectory, and then end up, not hitting the moon, and maybe hitting a star.
yeah, yeah. I'd be okay with a star. I'm all
Yeah.
right with that. Anyways, enterprises are shifting from build everything to buy and integrate. That's because look, we talked in one of our meetings with our CIOs and technology leaders. Sorry. We talked with our technology leaders and they were talking about it's showing up whether you want to or not. But we had in our summit, we had Tim Walter over from Edward Don. They
Yeah.
talked about how, they increased their RFP process there. That's one of their workflows, and they increased that by using AI as a team leader, as a team member, and it made significant difference. Well, they went and brought in an outside vendor that specialized in this. So if you look at all your spots in your workflow, you'll find spots where there's friction, right? I heard that from our CBTS speaker, and you find those spots and you'll find the areas. We'll get into that in a minute. All right, smaller specialized models are getting traction alongside large foundation. I don't that headline, that's not new. Okay, people have been doing machine learning for a long
30,
I'm,
50 years.
yeah, for a long time. So, smaller specialized models are getting traction along large foundation models. All right. Now, let's jump. Where's the ROI today? We're going to go through this really quickly. We just did a summit. I did a webinar, and it says, where's the ROI today? AI is already embedded across most enterprises, driving the need for cost usage and risk management. I don't know if that belongs there. Governance and change management is becoming foundational, not operational. Okay, here it is. I'm going to jump to here. Clear ROI is emerging when AI is applied to workflow efficiencies as a team member or analyst. That's really key. So we've had multiple examples of members of our community saying, "Hey, and we're done." Their restaurant supply. I think they're international, national, international, big company. They weren't able to reply to all their RFPs. Think about that. They were just leaving business on the table.
Yeah,
So what
absolutely.
they did is they used the Gen AI combined with this tool that somebody else had created to analyze the RFP, analyze their inventory, and make matches. And humans, as part of the team, were able to say, "Yeah, that's a fit." And so the other problem that they solved by doing this was all that knowledge in their sales teams' heads and in their teams' heads. Now it's training the AI. They
Yeah.
turned that on, so it's training AI. So that's a good example of applying AI to workflow. And business-led initiatives consistently outperform technology. I don't have, probably everybody on this webinar knows this.
Yeah.
Okay. You lead with the business issue. the goal, the issue, the opportunity. You know, agentic AI and orchestration represent the next phase. I think you wanted to make a comment. Let's put a star in there. But we heard agentic AI, and we hear orchestration. We hear the words MCP. It's not from Tron, although secretly I suspect that it is the master control panel. But anyways, that's just a joke, Richard. Maybe you didn't see that movie. But agentic AI and orchestration represent the next phase, but it's really the big vendors talking about that and
Yeah.
bringing that in. But go ahead. You had your comments on agentic AI and orchestration.
No, so you've got ChatGPT. It's great for getting information, empowering your staff to be more creative, problem solve, et cetera, et cetera. But the driver here is, and the ROI is, Alex, and you've alluded to it, is this workflow stuff. If
Right.
once you get to agentic AI and you can really power up your processes through good data governance, that's when the business will see the value. And I think Tim and his
I
team
agree.
at drawing a mind blank. Uh,
Yeah, we're done. Yeah.
Everdon
Yeah.
was a great example of that. I've got another client that's in the manufacturing world, and what they would do is small POC projects and have individuals that were talented at business analysis and workflow, and I think they funded 7 different AI projects, and out of the 7, they had 4 that were successful and went out of beta into production for the firm.
That's great.
But that goes back to empowering employees, making them not afraid of the using the technology. And like you and I have talked about in the past, learning is the new loyalty. So what those companies are doing is upskilling their people in order to make them more empowered, add more value to the organization, and therefore hopefully stick around longer because they've got that functional and institutional knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Well, those are great examples of how people are doing it. And we'll talk more about this in a minute. But I think you hit the nail on the head. It's about workflow. And I've got a presentation that I just recorded, which I'll tell you all about at the end, which talks exactly about this, how to do it. And we'll be putting that out at the first of the year. But I think you're right on the money. People have been talking about this, and I have another presentation. Remember Joe Rose, the head of
Oh yeah,
DV,
yeah, he's great.
yeah, JBS. He's going to record that presentation for us as well, and he talks about actually what agentic AI actually is and how to overcome the concern of LLMs being 68% accurate when you have real workflow issues happening. Like, I don't know, should we pay that bill or not? Well, let's make sure it's accurate. I think 68% isn't good enough. So there are ways to overcome that. All right. True digital transformation occurs when AI is used to systematically reduce friction across end-to-end processes. That's huge. That's what you're talking about. You know, there's a difference between efficiencies and digital transformation. Remember this, I call this digital transformation 2.0 or 3.0, whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it.
I would agree.
So, we're going to see true digital transformation for those companies who really take the lead with this. Do you
Yeah,
agree?
I think 2026, not getting ahead of ourselves, but
Yeah.
the firms and individuals that have embraced it, learned it, and executed on it are the ones that are going to get out of the gate so much faster.
Yeah. And again, it's about these workflows. And yes, there's innovation also. We have talked about that. You'll create new workflows now with this newer technology, but even just optimizing all your workflows, that's going to take people a while, and not every competitor is going to be able to catch up. So it's a huge competitive advantage, and that's what it's all about, right? Having competitive advantage. So data readiness remains a major constraint despite executive assumptions. And again, I
Yep.
mentioned before that this is up to you, technology leaders. You got to show these people how you're not really ready for the data. And if we want these great gains, this is what we got to do, and come on strong. All right, speaking of that, let's get into what the consultants are advising. So again, we did the research on what some of these bigger companies are advising, and we'll have you in there too, because you're a consultant, and lead with the business problem, not the technology. I don't think we need to spend much time on that. I think everybody on this webinar understands this, on this report understands this. Focus on workflow, but I'll just say it anyways. just because you're getting pressure from the executive team to you, you've got to have a response to that that makes sense for the business. Because once you take that project on, you own it.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, and we all know they'll have a short-term memory on this issue, so make sure you're working on projects that are real that you're going to get a real return on. That's, I think, job one if you want preservation, right? And you actually do well. Focus on workflow AI, level AI, not isolated use cases. Move towards genetic. Okay, we're talking about this over and over again. Any additional comments you want to make on this particular topic?
No, Alex, I've got a skewed view because I'm in the talent world.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, it still comes down to, at this point in time, people. Because you've got great technology out there. You got to know how to implement it. You got to know how to use case it, implement it, and then continue execution on it. And if you don't have the right team in place, your impact to the business is so much less than what it could be.
yeah. Well, I agree with you on that. And you're going to share some of your insights on that in a second, right? We're
Sure.
almost at that section, but we totally agree with that. I like that phrase that you gave me. I put it in the slides. You'll see that in a minute, everybody. So invest early in data foundations and data governance. I know you've gone to the well so many times already, everybody. And you said, hey, we're going to do data. And the CEO is going to go, oh my God, more billions of dollars spent on data or hundreds of million dollars. Yeah, sorry. The world woke up and we need it. So yeah, you're going to have to invest
It's the
early
new
in.
oil.
Yeah. Well, we've heard it's not the new oil. It's oil. It really is oil this time.
Yeah.
You know. So build governance and responsible AI into execution. There's no way around that. Also, governance creates the freedom for innovation. I never understood that for a long time. But if you do this AI without proper governance, you are setting up your company for disaster,
Yeah. Yeah.
major disaster. And you've got to have governance involved in this, as you know. AI is no, okay, this is your phrase. Go ahead. You say it.
Um,
This
I
one
can't.
here. Oh,
I can't
you
fully
can't
see
read
it.
it.
So
Hey, I'll say it. AI is no longer just a strategy. It's a workforce reallocation engine. That's your
yeah,
thing. Tell us about that.
yeah. And at the end of the day, it goes back to what I just said. There's a certain amount of churn that takes place in organizations, regardless of AI and regardless of what the economy is doing. But those are two major drivers right now. We've got a good economy, but we've got a lot of uncertainty. And you know, if you are not attracting or upskilling talent in your organization that can help you in your AI journey, it goes back to the same thing we said before. You're at a huge disadvantage. And um, I was on a call with you and John the other day, and just finding the right talent takes a lot of time and energy because there's a lot of charlatans out there. So how do you screen out that talent? We're in a new paradigm where some people don't know how to screen out the talent that has the ability to move the needle.
Yeah.
And you've got to have different testing. You've got to have different process and real world methodology that they will show you that will enable you to understand whether or not they have the skills to move you forward.
Yeah, that's great. This is a key issue. It's workforce reallocation. I don't think we should be. You're not misleading anybody. I mean, you're giving them advance warning. You're saying, hey, things are going to shift, right?
Oh, it's going to shift, and it's going to shift fast, and it's going to shift for a long time. I mean, this, like you
Yeah,
said in the beginning of this call, we're in the first maybe 2 or 3 innings of this game.
yeah. It's a big one, And for all those of you who stayed with it, I talk to people. I've been doing AI forever. Well, the world's woke up to your work.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. All right, let's keep moving on what the consultants are advising. Lead with the business problem, not technology. We already said this multiple times. Did I already? Okay, that's the same slide. Expect organizational change to be harder than the technology.
Yep.
That goes along with your upskilling, reskilling video that we did, right?
And it's an age old thing. I mean, Alex, you were talking about ERPs. When you bring in an ERP, you've got new process and methodology. When you bring in AI, you've got new process and methodology. And human beings, there's some people who embrace change, and
Yeah,
there's others that don't embrace change. Just like the internet, the ones who don't embrace change will be on the sidelines. The ones that do embrace change will be the new leaders within your organizations or the new needle movers. And this one is going to move so much faster than the Y2K one.
Uh, yeah, even the internet one. I
Yeah,
mean,
the internet. I bet I lump that together.
yeah, I mean, you look at the internet thing. There's this huge bubble, which we'll talk about predictions. I predict there's a little bit of a bubble, if not a major bubble here. But at the end of the day, how many people raise your hand? We can't see you, but how many people bought from Amazon this week?
Yeah.
World
How
changed,
many
everybody.
times?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, the world changed. Like everybody said it was going to change. It was just on a different path than we all thought it would be for the most part. And so a lot of those companies that emerged in that period are the big mega companies that we talk about every day right now, you
Yep.
know. And of course, it's interesting to me that the major players that were around back then are still around now. They survive and they're thriving with Microsoft, Oracle. That's pretty amazing. Of course, Oracle had a bad week, but that's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. By the way, watching the whole Oracle thing is like watching this. What's that Succession? It's
Yeah.
like why?
True story.
Because you're talking
But
about
Alex,
Larry Ellison, who I'm a fan of, especially when he did the ships and everything, and then the boating, and then his son, who's doing this takeover bid for Paramount. Go ahead, real
yeah.
quick.
But it goes back to
Not for Paramount, for
I
whatever. Go
I
ahead,
used to
Warner.
play. I used to play a lot of platform tennis with a guy who was a hedge fund leader,
Yeah,
and he would bring a bag every week with his paddle tennis racket in there, and on the outside it said "Adapt or Die."
yeah,
And that's where we are in this journey. I mean, the adaptation is going to come fast, and the ones that do adapt, and like you said, with the Oracles, the Microsofts, the Googles, they have adapted. They have to continually adapt, or somebody else will take their market share, and that goes for that trickles down into middle market to smaller market to associations.
yeah. Anything, any group that you're in, this is your opportunity. That's going to be my big message. Okay, adapt a buy and integrate strategy rather than building everything. You said that earlier. They're saying it. Pair generative AI with traditional machine learning for real ROI. That's a good point. Machine learning is very successful. People have been doing it for years. Probably most of the people that are watching this have some experience with that. When you pair the two together, it works out really well. Is what I've read. That's what I've read in the reports. And then design for human in the loop oversight. One thing I want to make sure, and I don't know if I put this on the chart, the next chart. Uh, I'll do it in the next chart. Scale cybersecurity and risk management alongside AI adoption. So I've already said it. You've already said it. They're
Yep.
saying it too. Don't overlook that. We all know this, and you got to go back to the well on data and cybersecurity. Okay, key insights from our clients. AI is already embedded across most enterprise. These are our peer advisor groups and the people that are part of our community that I talk to all the time.
Yeah,
AI,
you've got technology leaders from enterprise firms to medium sized orgs, and you've got a great insight into that.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's part of where I get a lot of my knowledge is just talking to them. Been doing these meetings since 2016, and I've been doing the conferences since 2001. But doing the meetings, this peer group, we have a private virtual peer group, technology leaders only. We have another group that's for people who want to learn about becoming a thought leader. So we have both of those groups. And I kept the core group because it just helps people to have them collaborate with each other. And just what? I'm a fly on the wall. I'm managing those meetings and I'm learning from them, as you can tell. These insights that I'm reading about, I hear from them first. So AI is already embedded across most enterprises, driving the need for cost usage and risk management. That's one that you don't hear a lot. Hey, yeah, it's included. Well, maybe the first license is included. They hook people on it, and all of a sudden, so you got to have an accountant that's paying attention to these expenses, just like you have to do with disk storage, with storage. I'm hearing this all over the place. Really pay attention to those expenses. Governance and change management are becoming foundational, not optional. We've kind of beat that one to death.
Yep,
Clear
yep.
ROI is emerging when AI is applied to workflow. We've talked about that. But let me explain this a little more. It's what right now you can start right now. You don't have this grand, you don't have to have a grand master plan with, AI enterprise architecture. You don't need that yet. You can take your top workflows where you have probably the most boring things that you guys do because it's the most important areas that you do. Like, if you're an insurance company, should we pay this bill? Right? Processing claims. We know that's a big one, right? And they're already doing stuff in this. So you apply it to workflow. Don't give AI 100% control. Have AI in there as a team member with your core team doing the analysis and speeding things up. And then your team will educate and train the AI.
Yeah, Tim
That
Walter talked about that at
he did.
your seminar, and you gotta at this point in time, you gotta have a human element in the mix.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As you work towards the agentic AI, where it's buying and selling and doing all these different transactions, that's the big thing that's come up in the last few months is, oh, it's on both sides. Yeah, you're going to have orchestration and agentic AI. But, right now, for getting used to this, pick one or two workflows or just one big
Yeah.
one, but pick one that's going to have a real ROI because this will work. It will work, right? Business-led initiatives consistently outperform technology for, I don't have to tell you guys that again. I shouldn't have to tell you that. Agentic AI and orchestration represent the next phase we talked about. But the key is that there are advanced organizations doing this now.
Oh, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everybody you talk to in the street isn't. When I talk to all my members, they're not all doing it.
No, I think part of it is the cost. Part of it is the data. The big boys are all doing it because they've
Yeah.
got money and
They're playing with it.
they've got the talent to throw at it. But I talk to medium-sized organizations all the time, and they're at a disadvantage because of the data and data governance, and they don't have the talent to move the needle. So therefore, you have to go to a outside firm or a contract solution until you figure out what you need, and then you hire for the longer term.
Yeah. Well, I think the good news is if you're a mid-sized company, you know, I don't want to say something that sounds dumb. I think you probably have less, well, you still got the same workflow, but not as complicated as workflow of these huge companies. So you probably have more lever points that are easy to identify. You probably already know intuitively what the lever points are.
But Alex, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it impacts a large organization in a minute way
Yeah.
versus if it impacts a medium-sized organization in a large way, where all of a sudden, your profits go up 3 to 5%.
That's what I'm saying. You actually have an advantage as a
It's a
mid-sized
huge
company
advantage.
because you have less levers than that big company, and an increase in any one of those levers could make a difference to you, more of a
Yeah.
difference percentage wise. I think that's what I was trying to say. So you helped me
Yeah.
with that. All right. True digital transformation occurs when AI is used to systematically reduce friction across end-to-end processes. That's exactly what we're talking about. Ideally, got an enterprise model, right? Here's all the different workflows, sales, marketing, operations, production, delivery, et cetera, transportation, et cetera, depending on what kind of company you are, and your workflows and you're able to determine where, this is out of line. Let's improve this. Data readiness remains a major constraint despite executive assumptions. And now let's get into anything you want to add on the staffing and hiring front.
We've talked a lot about it, but you know, last year was really interesting because hiring was muted, and there was a pivot to contract employees that had really specialized skills. There was also a a push probably mid-year in C-level and D-level leadership where the business leaders were saying, you know what, maybe this technology leader is not the right person who's going to take us
Oh,
forward into this AI and agentic revolution. So we saw a lot of activity in that side, but really, I think that the central theme was hiring specialized talent for periods of time to kickstart certain initiatives, be it AI, project management, change management, or ERP related initiatives.
that's really interesting. That comment, so seats are going to change. So be ready.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're that
See,
technology leader and you're not making these board members comfortable that you can handle this AI shift.
Well, and Alex,
Make
it
sure
goes
you can.
yeah, and it goes back to what you had just said in some of those points before. You really have to embed your team on the business side, be it
Yes.
supply chain, finance, R&D, because that's where the problems lie, and then that's how the solutions are created through this workflow, or just sometimes it's just simple changes to applications that help people do their jobs more effectively.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes a lot
But
of sense.
but
And
and
it,
I'll
yeah,
add
go
one
ahead.
other thing. I'll add one other thing. I have clients say to me, there's so many layoffs going on. There's so much churn going on. How come I still can't find really good talent? And it's because I'm sure you've heard the term job hugging. Um, 2, 3 years ago, there were people, everyone would jump ship for, the next opportunity for more wages. As uncertainty has come into this economy because of various reasons, but AI being a driver, um, individuals we've seen are less motivated to move on because they don't know what's on the other side of the fence. So if you're going to attract and retain talent, you've got to have a great story, you've got to have a great culture, and you've got to have the right mix of teaching people, enabling them to learn more so that they can become more valuable to themselves in their own career marketplace. Because at the end of the day, you're in charge of your own career. We've all seen layoffs come and go, but if you are strategic about the way that you move along, you win.
That's great. That's great advice. All right. Well, let's thank you for that. So that was the AI, I'm sorry, staffing and hiring update from Richard. Thank you, Richard, for doing that. 2000, let's get to this forecast. 2026 AI in the enterprise forecast. Here's a simple forecast. More, faster, more. So, okay, cracks will appear in the AI infrastructure and supply chain. Investment is outpacing near-term revenue.
For
How many
sure.
times do you read this?
Well,
Open
Oracle's a prime
AI,
example.
huh?
Oracle's a prime example.
Oracle's example, Open AI is an example.
Yeah, right.
You know, there will be a shift at some point. So I would just say make sure you're backing up your data, your threads. But in the meantime, you know, I don't think OpenAI is going to go away. It just might become part of something. We'll see. Because at some point you can't get another bigger deal. You have to make profit. But having said that, look how long it took Amazon to make profit. So they were able to do it. So, but cracks will appear. The other thing is in terms of AI infrastructure, you know, where's the electricity going to come from? Right? So we're going to predict that people are going to be talking about that more and more. AI readiness, you already mentioned it. That's going to be the differentiator for companies. AI is no longer just a strategy, it's a workforce reallocation engine. You've already touched on this. Mention this real quickly. We're about to run out of time, so give us the quick version of this one.
But it's just it's upskilling, Alex, or it's bringing in higher talent. That's the reallocation. Either you bring your workforce along through learning is the new loyalty, or if you don't have that skill set in house, you bring it in, enable your team to learn and to upskill, and then it's a variable cost, which is always great within business. And then you're off to the races. But there is going to be a lot of reallocation, and the roles that are going to be sought after in the next 2 to 3 years, I don't know what they are.
Yeah,
All I know is it's going to be amazing, and it'll be fun to watch where it goes, and then to be able to adapt to those changes.
that's really interesting insight. Yeah, you're right. A lot of new rules are going to occur that we haven't even thought of them. You saw that all the time. You see it now in social media and all these other more trendy type of industries. I read one the other day where brand companies are paying people a lot of money just to write stories.
Yeah, yeah.
So AI will continue to have a major impact on hiring staff. We pretty much covered this, but the one point I want to see tell you is that It says manufacturing, logistics, and distribution show what's coming for other sectors. What we mean by that is look at an Amazon distribution center. Look at those videos. And so if you think that AI is going to eventually creep in and take over certain roles, you come on. They have robots all over the place in these distribution centers.
Alex, I was
And
going to say is another huge game changer.
yeah, it's coming. It's coming. What's on the next slide? But yeah, you're right. Okay, AI-infused cyber attacks will accelerate in 26, forcing increased focus on cybersecurity awareness, prevention, and governance. The opportunity is still open, but not forever. It's going to happen fast, not forever. Robotics and quantum computing, there's your robotics, and quantum computing move closer. Man, talk about cybersecurity. When quantum computing comes, a lot of people are going to be in trouble with these patterns, including me. Somebody can finally get to my spreadsheet. You know, AI is no longer science fiction. I threw that in there because I thought it was fun. Oh, you just flipped this again. You want to do that. All right. Finally, here's the net advice, and then we'll close it out. Be prepared, realistic, and intentional as AI reshapes how work gets done. We'll end on a positive note. Seize the opportunity, right, Rich?
Yep, yep. And it is all about seizing the opportunity. It's amazing to live in this period of time. Is it at times intimidating and scary? Yes, but to these young kids that are coming up, they've got a whole different world in front of themselves. To guys like you and I, we've got a whole different world in front of us, and it's an amazing opportunity, I think.
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, wow, I'm going to be covering this topic for a long time because I
Yeah,
love doing this work.
yeah.
Okay. And I love doing this with you. Richard, thank you very much. I appreciate being part of it. Folks, don't go away yet. I have a couple more things to show you, but I want to thank Richard for being our guest analyst today. How about a round of applause for Richard? Did a great job. Stay
Thanks,
with
Alex. Thank you for hosting. You're fun to work with. Thank you.
It's a lot of fun, and we both learned a lot together. Well, let's close this out. I'm going to show you what's showing on demand. If you haven't been to the site, I want to show you the site real quick. Let's get to it. We're a thought leadership community and media platform. We're actually a media platform now. A number of you have been with me since the early days doing events. We have really shifted. We're for technology leaders, tech founders, fractional executives, and B2B executives. We still are out there putting out content, but I have a much bigger audience. We literally get over 1 million views a year and growing on our entire media platform. This website alone, Richard, gets over 700,000 views a year, which is it's incredible. And if you look
I
at the
thought you
web
got over 1 million.
overall on the whole
Okay,
platform,
okay.
over the whole platform. So the whole platform would be the site, LinkedIn profiles, YouTube, newsletter, things like that, the whole platform.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
site itself gets over 700,000 views alone and growing. And it's really become a video platform. And these are all leadership lessons. And so if you look here, you can see future facing engineering leadership, why AA projects fail. That's Richard right here. Dr. Amit Shah, turning AI boundaries into better healthcare outcomes, upskilling your employees. And it just goes on and on. We just got a ton of stuff that we've created here. And
And
so
Alex, I'll throw a small plug in for you. You've really assembled an amazing group of not only technology leaders, but just great people to interact with that you can learn from, that you can use in solving problems. And it's a great org. So thank you
well,
for doing that.
thank you for saying so. It's great, a pleasure to have you as part of a group. And by the way, what he's talking about, there's the peer advice. You can just be in our newsletter list, be part of it, get inspired by the content. Or if I call it HGTV for technology leaders and the other groups. And if you want to become Look, where was Chip and Joanna before they were on HGTV, right, Richard? This is your network. This is for you to be involved. You become a board of advisor member. You get involved. These are all the great people that have shared content, and you get involved. And there's an example of Dr. Amit Shah, and that's his channel. So you see what we're doing here. So let me tell you what's coming. Let me get back to the slides. Coming soon is, and Tom is one of our technology leaders. He
Yeah,
gave a
Tom's
great
great.
yeah he gave a great presentation at the summit
Yes.
on CIO report on Gartner Symposium. He agreed to record it. I got the recording in the can. We'll be releasing this after the first of the year. We're going to wait till after the holiday season.
That was really informative.
Yeah, you're going to want to see this, everybody. It's what did Gartner say about AI at the symposium? They have that annual symposium at the end of every year. We also got Justin, from CBTS, from AI to ROI. I don't know why I didn't get his name on there. Let me show you his full name and everything. Give me a second here. So here's the summit. This was from the summit, real quick. Now we already did this, but he spoke at this event, and here he is. Justin Grishop, Senior Director of AI and Analytics at CBTS. And he's got this great presentation. Your friction is your opportunity. It's kind of confusing. Like, what are you talking about? He's talking about these workflows, and he has that enterprise architecture scale where he has all the major workflows of every sort of major company. And he tells you how to identify where those opportunity areas are. So you're going to want to watch that. Okay. Woo. I don't see any big questions here. We got 3 minutes. If you got a question, now's the time to ask it. Otherwise, we're going to say thanks to Richard and close it out. We'll give him 30 seconds, Richard. What are you doing for the holidays? Anything fun? You going somewhere warm?
I'll be in Sarasota.
Ah, I knew it. You going somewhere warm. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So
How about you?
yeah, I love the cold. I love cold weather. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm sure I'll go to Scottsdale and visit my mom and my sister, and maybe get my son out there to play a little golf.
That's great.
So we'll have a good time. It's really great. And of course, football weekend starts tonight, as I
Yeah.
recall. Big first bowl game is today or tonight. So I think they had a little one yesterday. So, anyways, I don't see any questions here. So I want to thank you again, Richard. Richard Doran, founder of CRITS. Again, Richard, thank you for being here.
Great to be with you, Alex.
Great to have you here. Again, it's brought to you by myself, Alex Jarett, Technology Executives Co-op Community. We're the thought leadership community and media platform for technology leaders, tech founders, fractional executives, and B2B executives. I could probably put a bigger list than that, but that's our core. And that's who we really are here for. We're here for you, everybody on this webinar. We're here for you. We want to get involved. Get started on your journey to become known as a thought leader so you can accelerate your career, grow your business. Doesn't matter if you want to grow your career. Richard, obviously, you have a business, you want to grow your business. Is one reason you're out there involved. And if you're that's fine. If you're a technology leader and you're ready for the next big career challenge, reach out to me. We'll see if we can help you. So you can reach out to me here on LinkedIn. There's my email. Take a quick picture, and we'll leave that on there for a second. Or you can just go to the website, set up a call. And I want to thank everybody taking your time. Time is all you get at the end of the day, right, Richard? And
Correct.
so thank you I was going to put a collage of all the different holidays. I'll just say it. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Richard, thanks again.
You got
Merry
it covered.
Christmas.
Bye, Alex. Thank you.
Great to have you. Everybody, happy holiday season and a happy new year.
See you.